Out in my garden, it's a lovely place to go. Out in my garden, watching nature grow. My garden is the place I go to let my troubles go. So let's go in the garden and see what we should know.
And he is back for another segment of In the Garden. Kent Neitzert from Neitzert's Greenhouse and Florist, covering all kinds of topics, whether it's grass, whether it's weeds, whether it's fruit trees. Today, a tasty one.
Yeah.
Blueberries.
Blueberries, About 3 weeks ago, I spent a week in Canada fishing. We go up there for about a week every summer, and we caught a lot of fish and had fish to eat every night. But what I really like is breakfast. Breakfast consists of 4 strips of bacon, 2 eggs, 2 pancakes with 1 or 2 handfuls of blueberries in each of them, and then smothered in real maple syrup. So pancakes are really good.
And this is over the open fire, right?
No. No, we're not that rough. We're not that rough. We have a grill and a propane.
Okay, well, close enough.
3 burner.
But it's outdoors.
It's outdoors.
Yeah.
So the blueberries are really what add the special touch to pancakes, in my opinion. So makes them a little tougher with that many blueberries on it. It's a little tougher to cook that second side, but who cares? All right. So early on, before the 1900s, the only way of enjoying this North American native berry, the blueberry, was to find them in the wild. And then scientists started to unlock the secrets of cultivating the blueberries. To grow them, you need to choose the right spot. You want a sunny spot that gets 6 to 8 hours of sunlight daily. They thrive in well-drained soil. You want to avoid areas where the soil is heavy, like clay. If you're trying to grow in that kind of area, the ideal thing to do is to kind of mound the area a little bit so that the bushes themselves are growing elevated, and that way the excess moisture tends to drain out. The real key is the soil pH. Our soil pHs are around 6 to 7, 7 being neutral soil. We try to grow in the greenhouse at about 6.5 to 6.7, but blueberries need a pH of about 4 to 5, which is a lot more acid than most native soils. And so you have to, if you're planning to grow blueberries, you have to do some amending to the soil to make that happen. And amending the soil is not a fast process. It's a slow process. So if you wanted to grow blueberries, plant them next year, ideal thing is to get out there and start trying to put the amendments in the soil this fall. And the easiest and most effective way is to put sulfur in the soil and just spread it around. If you were to take your soil to someplace and have it analyzed, they can tell, and you tell them you want to grow blueberries, they can tell you exactly how much sulfur to put on to make that happen. I've got about 5 plants, and what I generally do is every year about this time, grab a handful of sulfur and just spread it around the base of the plant. Not right tight to the plant, but out around the edge of the plant.
With amending that soil, then, how close can you have them to other vegetation that might or might not like the sulfur?
Well, you have to be careful because most plants growing in a pH of 4.5 to 5 won't tolerate it. They can't absorb the nutrients they need at that soil pH, and that's what happens when you adjust the pH of the soil. It adjusts the chemistry of the soil and the ions that can be absorbed by the root systems of the plant. So you can't grow them side by side. So
you almost need a separate patch.
Yeah, but 2 or 3 feet, that sulfur doesn't affect the pH of the soil. 2 feet to the right, or 3 feet to the right. In terms of spacing, it depends on what type of blueberry you get. There are high bush blueberries and there are low bush blueberries, and you know the difference because the high ones grow taller.
Captain Obvious.
Yeah. Blueberry bushes tend to maybe grow 6 to 8 feet tall in the high bush ones, and maybe waist tall in the lower ones. There are lots of different varieties now, so you can kind of pick the ones that grow in the space that you want. There's one called Top Hat that grows, I've seen growing in containers that only grows about 12 to 16 inches tall. You're not going to pick a lot of blueberries off of that, but it's kind of an ornamental type of thing. And the other nice thing about blueberries in the fall, when they start to turn color, the leaves turn pretty bright red. So it can be used as an accent plant. If we water them, blueberries take, because of the moisture inside the berry itself, it takes a lot of water, but not, again, you don't want to stand them in water, so you want to be sure and allow them to dry out a little between waterings, and then keep the water to them to keep the plants healthy and keep the blueberries so that they fill out. We want to fertilize them not immediately after we plant them, but about a month or so after planting. We want to take something like a 10-10-10 fertilizer and put a band around 6 or 8 inches out from around the plant. We don't prune them at all, hardly for the first 3 or 4 years, but then after they get a little larger, after about 4 or 5 years, we need to prune them to get rid of the old hard wood that's in there and force them to develop new, younger sprouts so that they can develop fresh berries on it. One of the things to remember is that blueberries are only partially self-fertile, which means that if you plant just one plant or one variety of plants, you don't get as good a production of berries as if you plant a couple of different varieties and they have the ability to cross-pollinate. And very important, if you're the big blueberry farms on the west side of the state pull in or have large bee hives to help that pollination process. You'll see 8 or 10 big hives setting at the edge of the field so that the blueberries are pollinated, and we get a good heavy fruit set.
Kent Neitzert in the garden this morning talking blueberries, but we'll talk anything else you want to, too. 279-1590. You have a quick question for Kent, 279-1590. That's the number.
When you have an occasion to buy flowers, does where you shop make a difference? Well, if knowledgeable sales personnel, quality of product, and value for the dollars you spend are important to you, then it's important you make Neitzert's Greenhouse and Florist your florist. Whatever the occasion, wherever you need to send flowers, call Neitzert's at 278-4148 and let them take care of your order. They'll handle your needs with a personal and professional touch and stand behind the work to your satisfaction. Call Neitzert's today or stop out on Fisk Road, 1/2 mile south of US 12, and see if you don't agree that there is a difference, and the difference is Neitzert's.
Kent Neitzert in the garden this morning talking blueberries. I know we've talked about with like tomatoes and other plants where you can stagger them and certain ones have certain time frames on when the harvest is in. When's the general harvest for most blueberries?
I would say about the latter part of July to the 1st of August, and then I think some of the later producing varieties are just now coming into fruit. So again, the big blueberry farms in the state of Michigan are on the west side of the state, over around Paw Paw, up into maybe the Grand Rapids area, and you will find fresh blueberries being picked all the time. Now, a lot of those are hand-picked, but also they have mechanized pieces that they wrap around the base of the blueberry plant, and you shake the plant, and it drops into a cloth and funnels it into something. Then you have to go through and we used to, when we go blueberry, and then come back and spread them out in a container, and you pick all the green berries out of there that you picked, and you pick all the sticks and stuff out so that you get a little nicer thing. I'm not sure that the easiest way of picking blueberries is out of the fresh fruit display at the store. So
yeah, and again, whether you're wanting them for yourself, but there is something special about having your own blueberries when you pick them, though. Right?
When I was a kid, we used to go with my uncle and we go huckleberrying, and I'm not sure what huckleberry is. A slightly different plant. It's a bigger plant, and that was down in kind of a marsh area, and we'd pick a 10-quart pail full and spend all day, and then come home and clean them up, and then you freeze them, and you can have them whenever you want them.
Well, it's a cooler name than blueberry.
Yeah.
Huckleberries is a cooler name. So,
Yeah.
But, all right. Within the blue, are you getting blueberries the first year on plants if you plant them?
No, you're probably about 3 years down the road
Okay.
before you get blueberries. And again, it depends on how big a plant you grow. If you're a blueberry farmer and you're trying to plant 5 acres, you get a pretty small plant. And if you're like me and wanted to plant blueberries, you get something that's in about a 3-gallon container, maybe has blueberries on them that year. So it just depends on how mature a plant you get. But young plants take about 3 to 4 years to mature.
So people stop by the greenhouse. Will you give them a handful?
Oh, well, I don't have any.
Oh,
My plants, as I said, I got 5 or 6 plants, and if I get a handful of blueberries off them a year, I feel lucky.
so before you go to the greenhouse, stop at Meyer, bring blueberries down, and
We can share.
you can share together. During the week, catch him at the greenhouse, 1.5 miles south of US 12 on Fisk Road. Thursday mornings, catch him right here, Ken Neitzert in the garden.
Out in my garden, it's a lovely place to go. Out in my garden, watching nature grow. My garden is the place I go to let my troubles go. So let's go in the garden and see what we should know.